Rahul has taken a very big stand. It's a very bold step. How people perceive it, how the false narrative by the BJP and the RSS who have already started, they are saying he is anti-Hindutva, he is anti-Sanskar, he is anti-Sanskriti. Rahul has evolved over the last 10, 11 years, and he has changed. And I feel he's a very strong man, It is very easy when everything is right in your life. He is very progressive. So I believe a major sections of the new generation, the Gen Z and the Gen Alpha, are acknowledging it. Progressive women, young women, educated women, people who want to do something, they are identifying themselves with him.
So the BJP is concerned. Do you think that the narrative is really shifting out of their hand? Hello and a warm welcome to HW News Network, your one-stop show, truth be told, for some engaging and thought-provoking conversations. Today we will try and understand the Rahul Gandhi phenomena vis-a-vis Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Why I'm calling it a Rahul Gandhi phenomena is that no matter how many chhatron ki goonj Rahul Gandhi does, BJP is never going to accept the fact that the wind is changing. There is a certain shift which is felt on the ground because of the Gen Z, because of the Gen Alpha, because of the way the youngsters feel for the government, or rather, I may say, they feel let down by the Modi government. But what Rahul Gandhi said in his Pune Chhatro Ki Goonj, he said, be loud, be proud, and fight for your space in society. That was the simple message of Rahul Gandhi, and that was directed to the women, exhorting them to smash the patriarchy while criticizing the Manu Smriti mindset. And this invited sharp reactions from the BJP. In fact, if you look at Rahul Gandhi, he placed the women, whom he called India's biggest strength, at the core of his message at an event where he was in Pune, telling them that they belong to no one except themselves. Now, this was a very powerful message, such a powerful message that no active politician of a national party would ever dare to say a thing like this, because whatever the politicians talk, they always are leashed by the fact that, there is a certain vote bank to which they have to cater. But here you found Rahul Gandhi talking about patriarchy, about smashing patriarchy and exhorting the women to change their mindset. Now, this was, if you look at the very statement and the loud messaging of his event, it almost sounded iconoclastic. And iconoclastic, when I say it, is that he is almost trying to become like a person who criticizes and who tries to shift the cherished ideals, the cherished beliefs, the cherished traditions, and the established institutions. So is Rahul Gandhi really breaking new barriers? Will it make the other leaders very, very uncomfortable in the coming days, who are actually donning the conventional hat of the Neta? This is what we'll try and discuss. The changing phenomena in the Indian society right now because of the cockroach movement vis-a-vis Rahul Gandhi and Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Joining me this evening is Vivek Srivastava. He is a renowned political analyst and also left thinker. Thank you so much, Vivek, for joining, and you're joining me on HW News for the first time. It will be a pleasure having you on the program.
Thank you so much.
You're always welcome, Vivek. And my first question to you is that did Rahul Gandhi say something which a conventional politician would never say? When he says smash the patriarchy, when he's exhorting the women to come out and fight for their space, he says be loud, be proud, and fight for your space. How many politicians would dare to do that? In fact, Lohia and Ambedkar, Jawaharlal Nehru, they have said things. They have empowered women. They have spoken about schemes, how they can facilitate a woman. But exhorting the women from a stage to smash the patriarchy, doesn't it take a lot of guts for a politician to say this?
Absolutely. And you see, politicians in India have been game changers many a time. But then when it comes to vote politics, everybody tries to compromise. That's the first part. Gandhiji started working in Dalit Bastis. That was a revolutionary move at that time. He and his wife used to go and they encouraged that everybody has to clean the toilets jointly, whatever be your caste or creed. And that's how it started. It started in South Africa. You had a Sarojini Naidu who had an intercaste marriage at that time. She did it publicly. She came forward, talked about it. It was a new concept. You had a Nehru who left everything. He had a roaring practice. His father was having shikar parties with the British. And Motilal Nehru writes that when we met Gandhi, everything changed. The perspective of life changed. Rajendra Prasad. So there are so many examples we had, because at that time, an educated leader, an educated thinker, an educated congressman, an educated communist, because the Communist Party and the Congress Party were the ones that were existing. It did not mean only appeasing the people, making them happy, listening to them, and changing yourself according to them. They were the teachers. They said that if India has to move forward, certain changes are necessary. And that is how they worked. Unfortunately, after 1947, slowly, if you see, it has been a lot of politics where people say that we will not say something which is going to, offend the masses, even if it is wrong. And over there, I think Rahul has taken a very big stand. It's a very bold step. How people perceive it, how the false narrative by the BJP and the RSS, who have already started, they are saying he is anti-Hindutva, he is anti-Sanskar, he is anti-Sanskriti, he is going to break the mold of the Indian family system. He is from a foreign origin, so he doesn't understand what we are. That narrative has already started. The BJP IT cell has already started it. So that's one part. So we are all happy. There's a lot of euphoria. Everybody is happy that something good is happening. But then what is the counter narrative, and will this translate into votes finally or not, has to be seen. That is where we need to be very, very careful. Rahul, I believe. Yeah.
Right. But what is your sense? Can Congress really keep up with this pace of Rahul Gandhi? That is also a question which is discussed many times, that Rahul is almost trying to don the hat of a reformer. He's trying to don the hat of a philosopher. He is someone who is not really bothered about the electoral victory, but rather as someone who believes in transforming the society. He's wanting to bring the society towards a new kind of a change. Now, is this a sort of a paradox which you see? Because everyone wants Congress to come back to power, because there has been a drought for Congress for the last 3 terms, where BJP has been dominating the electoral landscape. So the question number 1 is that Congress needs to win elections. Will it win the election in 2029? Nobody knows as of now. But at the same time, Rahul is trying to make the right noises. What does it mean for Congress? How will Congress keep pace with a leader who is a reformer, who is a transformist, but someone who's not bothered about the electoral victory?
In reality, India needs a leader who is a reformer. That is the first part. मुल्क को जरूरत है ऐसे लीडर की जो reformer हो. That is the first part. We need a reformer. We actually don't need a guy who agrees with everything the public says, right or wrong, starts believing in khap panchayats, just for the votes. That is what we don't need it. But unfortunately, the society is still not, it has not moved ahead. And even the Congress has not moved ahead. There are many voices inside the Congress party which are still very regressive. कोई कहता है साहब आप भी सॉफ्ट हिंदुत्व करो, कोई कहता है साहब आप भी दिखाओ आप हिंदू हो, आप you are from a Kashmiri Pandit family, and so on and so forth. But one thing very good which I feel is Rahul has evolved over the last 10, 11 years, and he has changed. And I feel he's a very strong man, It is very easy when everything is right in your life to survive, to be happy, to be moving ahead. But then when you fall down, and you fall down repeatedly, you are losing repeatedly, your family members are being targeted, you are being targeted, you are scoffed off, the BJP IT cell is behind you, the ED, the CBI, everybody is behind you, even your sister's children are not spared. When you are facing all this and you get less than 50 seats in the parliament elections, people write you off. Every day the Godi media sits and says, "Bhai, khatam hai Congress ko. Ab to ye khatam ho gayi, ab to itihas ke pannon mein aa gayi." But then still you pick yourself up, you gear up and you fight back again. Now that is the sign of a very, very strong man. He could have, when people say, "Arey, foreign holiday pe ja raha hai." I mean, if he had to go out and enjoy life, he could have just made somebody the Congress president, somebody the vice president. He would have remained in the board of the Congress party in the All India Congress committee, and he could have gone and settled out, enjoyed his life. He need not be bothered about the nitty-gritties of what India is. Party chale theek hai, nahi chale theek hai. But then he decided to stick around over here. He stuck to his guns. He is doing a politics of his choice. वो अपने terms conditions पे अपनी politics कर रहा है. That is the good part of Rahul Gandhi. When he passed the Land Acquisition Act, the Bhumi Adhikaran Bill, and he agitated against his own government, the UPA government, stood for the farmers in Bhatta Parsol. There was the birth of a socialist leader who believes in Nehruvian economics, who understands India through the eyes of Nehru. We had subsequent prime ministers in the Congress, but many of them did not understand what India was. Narasimha Rao was one of them. But then he is understanding it through the eyes of Nehru, the socialist concept, the poor, the needy. He sits with an air conditioning repairman, talks to him. He sits with a driver and talks to him. He sits with a security guard and talks to him. He sits with students and talks to him. Unka dekhne ka perspective Nehru wala hai. When Nehru used to became the prime minister, he was still taking walks in the park, and people used to go and a common man could see him. There was minimal security or no security. And once an old woman came to him and she caught hold of his collar and said, "Azadi tumne hame dilai, hame mila kya? Mujhe batao, tumne hame kya diya?" And she was virtually, so he laughed. He did not say anything. He said, "Amma, तुझको आजादी ने ये दिया कि तू देश के प्रधानमंत्री का कॉलर पकड़ सकती है. As a citizen, you have been given that right." So that is where Rahul is, and Rahul is trying it out. And he is very progressive. He is very progressive. So I believe major sections of the new generation, the Gen Z and the Gen Alpha, are acknowledging it. Progressive women, young women, educated women, people who want to do something, they are identifying themselves with him. But the Congress needs to keep pace. The Youth Congress, the NSUI, the allied parties, they all need to be in tandem. The left is very much of the same opinion, virtually ideologically, what the Congress is taking. The Progressive Women's Stand. We had the Progressive Writer Association. We had the National Federation of Indian Women of Aruna Asaf Ali. So
right.
Yeah.
You're right, and the examples which you are giving, they're there for everyone to see. But something which fails my understanding is the fact that there is a perceivable change in the society because of the Gen Z, because of the cockroach movement, and the complementing factor because of Rahul Gandhi, the way he's trying to project things. Why is the legacy media failing to register this change? And I'm specifically asking you this question that since the time Chhatron Ki Goonj program got over on Saturday, I have gone through so many newspapers online and the hard copies of the newspapers. I haven't seen any editorial. I haven't seen any analyst writing about the perceivable change. Why are people failing to chronicle this moment? And which is where this Rahul phenomena comes in, or the cockroach party phenomena, the way the society is transforming. Don't you think that the media should be talking about this? If media could cover the Anna movement that way, and then, Anna Hazare sprinting like a Gandhi. I still remember those days when we were covering it, and the way Anna Hazare was running, and then the cameras used to hound him. Where are those cameras? Why is the media failing to register this moment? I don't understand.
You see, yeah, there is a very big difference in the way the Congress perceived the nation and the BJP does. The Congress believed in democracy. If they lost the elections once in a while, they agreed, they accepted, they sat in the backbenches. तीसरे मोर्चे की सरकारें आई, VP Singh की सरकार आई, वाजपेयी की सरकार आई. But the Congress was always very graceful. It's democracy. Okay, fine. We don't have the mandate. It doesn't matter. We'll sit back. We'll work hard. We'll come back again. So that the ideology and the tendency that hum to chhodenge nahi satta, that was not there. But the BJP, unfortunately, the BJP वो फेविकॉल लगा करके बैठ गए हैं. वो कह रहे हैं हम तो जाएंगे नहीं, हम इलेक्शन मैनेज करेंगे, इलेक्शन कमीशन मैनेज करेंगे, ईडी सीबीआई मैनेज करेंगे, स्टेट पुलिस को मैनेज करेंगे. We will do what we can. We'll break the parties. We'll bribe the people. We'll show the fear and take the member parliaments on our side. You saw what happened in Aam Aadmi Party case. You saw what happened in Trinamool Congress, NCP Sharad Pawar. आपने क्या क्या नहीं किया है, तो सारा but then हमें सत्ता नहीं छोड़नी है. That is the dangerous part. The BJP is so scared of losing power. They feel एक बार गए तो पता नहीं फिर वापस आएंगे नहीं आएंगे. So that is the difference in which the Congress thought and the way BJP thinks. Congress was graceful. आपको मेरे खिलाफ प्रोटेस्ट करना है, आप करिए. हम लोग कम्युनिस्ट हैं, हम जंतर मंतर पे करते थे. उसके पहले बोट क्लब पे करते थे. हम लोग संसद भवन मार्च भी करते थे. It's okay. आप करो, आप ज्ञापन दो, हम लड़ते भी थे. It was all over there. But this is new. Today, for us, to book a hall whether it is the Congress party workers or the Communist party workers or Samajwadis. आप एक ऑडिटोरियम दिल्ली के अंदर बुक नहीं कर सकते हैं, आप बुक करेंगे, आप बोलेंगे दिस इज द एजेंडा ऑफ आवर मीटिंग, और वो एक पीसफुल चीज ऑडिटोरियम के अंदर 200-300 लोगों को लेकर के, पुलिस परमिशन नहीं मिलती है। ऑल इंडिया ट्रेड यूनियन कांग्रेस एंड जॉइंट लेफ्ट के मजदूर यूनियन लोगों ने एक कन्वेंशन किया ऑडिटोरियम के अंदर आईटीओ पे, परमिशन वाज नॉट ग्रांटेड टिल द लास्ट मोमेंट। बड़ी मुश्किल से हम जंतर मंतर पे अगर हम बैठ भी पाते हैं, विच वाज मिसिंग। कांग्रेस के टाइम पे खुले में बैठते थे, बोलते थे बैठो, पहले बोट क्लब है दैट इज नियर द प्रेसिडेंट्स हाउस, इट इज रिस्की, सो यू गाइस सिट एट जंतर मंतर। सो जंतर मंतर अ प्लेस वाज अलॉटेड टू अस। दिस गवर्नमेंट इज सेइंग जंतर मंतर भी हम नहीं देंगे, आप शहर के बाहर बुराड़ी के पास बहुत बड़ा मैदान है, वहां जाकर के आउटस्कर्ट्स में बैठा करिए। So this government is scared, this prime minister is scared, the prime minister को हर चीज से डर लगता है, प्राइम मिनिस्टर प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस नहीं कर सकते, प्राइम मिनिस्टर लोगों को कुछ बोल नहीं सकते, टेलीप्रॉम्प्टर नहीं हो तो उनकी आवाज नहीं निकलती है। सो इट्स ऑल व्हेन यू सी इट, ये डरे हुए लोग हैं, ये डरे हुए कॉम्प्रोमाइज लोग हैं, who are not willing to give us the freedom to speak and to dissent. They want a totalitarian state, कह रहे साहब हमारी चलेगी, मनुस्मृति चलेगी, हमारा हिंदू राष्ट्र चलेगा, run it through our agenda, if you're not with us, I mean, it's my way or the highway. So it is all, these are all very, very dangerous people today. I mean, so much the prime minister is ridiculed today, not only in the national media, but in the national media also.
But as far as the BJP is concerned, do you think that the narrative is really shifting out of their hand? Because there is a debate over it. Many people say that, no, you guys are being misled. This is just a very short-term phenomena. It will get over, and ultimately you will see BJP winning the elections in 2027 and also in 2029. There is a large section of people which says that. What do you think? How are things stacked up, or the odds stacked up as far as BJP is concerned? Has Prime Minister Modi lost the plot? Has BJP lost the narrative? How does one see it when you see these kind of changes on the ground happening, whether it is a cockroach party or the way Rahul Gandhi is reaching out to the Gen Z?
You see, I'll be very clear. The Prime Minister lost the plot a few months before 2024. When you lost Ayodhya, you lost the plot. The People's Connect was missing. Chitrakoot, they lost. Every religious Hindu place where they fought the election, they lost. The people rejected them. Complete majority was not over there. The pure majority was missing. यहाँ से वहां से करके सरकार को बनाया गया. Now the point is, I'll simply quote Rahul Gandhi. The first discussion should be, are the elections free and fair? Yes or no? Our biggest challenge is not कि राहुल गांधी आएंगे, कांग्रेस आएगी या नहीं आएगी. Our biggest challenge is, are the elections free and fair? Is the police, is the election commission, is the CRPF, are these free and fair? Is the income tax department, the excise, are they free and fair? So if the elections, how many votes were cancelled in SIR? Was an SIR a good thing to do? Was it democratic? और कोर्ट ने बोल दिया साहब अगली बार वोट दे देना लाखों लोगों को. So is it done? It's not done. So the first question has to be, क्या electoral process dependable रह गया है? क्या free and fair election होगा? Will the Congress, if somebody is pressing a Congress button, I hope the vote doesn't go somewhere else. If there is a basti where people will vote for the Congress, the policeman should not stand out and rotate a revolver in his hand. It happened in the by polls in UP. और वो पता लगा आप बाहर ही नहीं आने आप दे रहे हो वोट डालने के लिए. So there is a lot more to fight. The perception is already in favor of the Congress party. The perception is already in favor of Rahul Gandhi. People like him. Gen Z is already over there. The Prime Minister का मजाक उड़ रहा है social media के ऊपर. 2019 election, there was a big edge they had. Social media was not that active, and the Godi media was totally showing the picture which Modi wanted the nation to see. ये anti-national है, ये Chinese agent है. The country is going to break. हिंदुओं का क्या होगा?
So you are saying that this 2027 UP elections or 2029, because of the proliferation of the social media, is not going to be very easy for BJP this time. That's what you're saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that is why you people are on the target now. They will try to have FIRs against you. They'll try to pull down your channels. They'll try to remove your posts in 3 hours or something. And then वो scrutiny होगी, वो Meta को लिखेंगे, Facebook को लिखेंगे. So all that is already happening. There are many people, there are many comedians, simple people, there are many song artists who गाना गा रहे हैं मोदी के खिलाफ, तो पता लगा FIR हो गई. So all those things are very, very regressive. They are already happening. It is the social media and independent media which came up, the small YouTubers with no money in the pocket, एक मोबाइल फोन लिया, एक ईयरफोन लिया, अपनी बात कहनी शुरू करी. कॉलेज के बच्चे, they are just standing on the road and they are saying something about the country, singing something, dancing about something. आपको हर चीज में आपको तकलीफ है, हर चीज में इनको तकलीफ है. Anything which is independent.
Today only I
Yeah.
saw that Yogi Adityanath government has come up with a directive that because some schools, shown from inside where the midday meal was being prepared. So now he says, "Koi rasoi mein nahi ja sakta. You can't. No outsider is allowed in the kitchen." Then the second directive is that there will be FIRs for all the misleading videos on schools. So what does it go to show? Are they in panic? Are they scared? Or they are trying to still control the things?
They are fascists. As simple as that. It's a fascist ideology of the RSS. One nation, one people, one culture, one religion, everything, monologues and one. And they believe we are entitled to rule. A kalpana, see, when fascism works, what do? You hunt out for an imaginary enemy. And that imaginary enemy today, according to the RSS, since 1925, was the minorities, primarily the Muslims and the Christians who are trying to convert. And now every bill rotates around them. FCRA, your Love Jihad, your UCC, everything rotates around them. The media rotates around them. The debates rotate around them. How do you villainize them? How do you show that India could not progress in the last 70 years or whatever is the lacuna? It is because of the Muslims, the Christians and the other minorities. So 90% of the people, 90% hum log Hindu the. In 1947, approximately, which means majority IAS, IPS, ministers, member parliaments, your railway ticket collector, school teacher, clerks, majority of the positions were held by upper caste Hindus. The OBCs and the SC, STs पिछले 15 साल की कहानी है सिर्फ. इस देश को किसने लूटा? किसने लूटा इस मुल्क को? किस कम्युनिटी के लोग उसमें शामिल थे? किनके हाथ में सत्ता थी? किन लोगों ने पैसे बनाए बिना सोचे मुल्क का क्या होगा? And today you suddenly come out and say we are a great nation, we will be a great nation. BJP राष्ट्रवादी है. These Muslims and Christians, look, they are getting a foreign culture, Abrahamical religions. We need to stem them out. We will again be a superpower. All this is stupid. आप अपने कैरेक्टर को पहले से आज भी 85% हिंदू हैं. Why don't you just make sure that every Hindu performs his duty wherever he is, whether it is he's in a government job or a private job or he's doing business. Pay his taxes on time. You make your roads properly. You have your bridges in place. Don't have corruption. India will again be a great. But then you don't want to do it because that is a difficult part to do. The easy part to do is target the Muslims every day. ये देखो ये ईसाई लोग हैं. इनको पैसा आता है. ये पैसा देते हैं तो लोग ईसाई बन जाते हैं. ये convert हो जाते हैं. तो हम एक bill लाएंगे. So whatever money they are trying to get in the name of education, we are going to stop that. When I talk about Mother Teresa, they troll me. मैंने कहा 19-year-old Czechoslovakian girl, she comes over here, stands outside the church, she sees a woman alive, जिंदा, उसके ऊपर चींटियां चढ़ी हुई थी, उसको काट रही थी पूरी बॉडी. और हमारे भद्र लोग सबके सब सामने से निकल के जा रहे थे. somebody is going from here, somebody is going there, nobody is pitching in, कोई उसकी मदद नहीं कर रहा. ये 19 साल की लड़की एक रिक्शे वाले को बोल के रिक्वेस्ट करके हाथ जोड़ करके चेकोस्लोवाकियन गर्ल उसको उठा के लेकर के गई. हॉस्पिटल वाले कहते हैं कोलकाता में we are not going to keep her. Then she virtually sits on a dharna, requests, fights. She says, I'm a nun, you please listen to me. तो उस औरत को भर्ती किया जाता है and then somehow the life is saved. This is our India. अब मदर टेरेसा चर्च को छोड़ के मिशनरीज ऑफ चैरिटी शुरू करती हैं and she starts working hard for those जो मरने वाले हैं सड़क पे, बिल्कुल अंतिम अवस्था में हैं.
Yeah, this narrative has been on for many years. But what I want to understand from you is the current change. How will BJP react to this change? And is Rahul Gandhi really breaking those barriers, of a conventional politician, which makes Modi very, very scary now?
You see, सब दुकान अपनी बचा रहे हैं. Everybody is trying to save their shop. Ramdev ji, he came on front. He started criticizing the government recently. He said, इनको हटाना पड़ेगा if they don't reform themselves. No, he's scared. He feels if this things become successful and the Congress comes to power or the Gen Z takes over, some other party comes into power, where will I go? Then the RSS is on a back foot. RSS thinks, अरे ये Gen Z का हो गया साहब, इतना बड़ा आंदोलन हो गया, इतनी फाइट हो गई, लड़ाई झगड़ा हो गया, the minister had to resign, where will we go? Tomorrow people will lose faith in us. बोलेंगे regressive लोग हैं, पुराने लोग हैं, इनका क्या फायदा? So they call a big meeting in Nita Ambani Cultural Center in Mumbai. The Sarsang Chalak comes over there and then he says, वो LGBTQ को भी फिर अब कह रहे हैं साहब ठीक है, तो लिव इन रिलेशनशिप भी ठीक है, तो हम तो बड़े प्रोग्रेसिव हैं, आप हमारे से जुड़ के रहिए. So somewhere or the other, they are scared. They want a course correction. So the RSS says, we don't know about Modi BJP, boss. We have been surviving since 1925. हम दूसरी बीजेपी खड़ी कर देंगे. अभी मोदी जो कर रहा है करने दो, हम अपने को तो बचाएं. So now suddenly everybody is trying to act very progressive. So the RSS is trying to get Gen Zs at various places and talk to them and it's telling them, look, Gen Z means आप भगवान को भी मानिए and this and that and संस्कृति and all that thing. So everybody is on a back foot. इनका पूरा ecosystem हिल चुका है, इनके supporters हिल चुके हैं because they feel that we could manipulate the election process. But if the people are going to come onto the streets, लोग सड़क पे आ गए, तब क्या होगा? Then what is going to happen? People come on the streets, who's going to stop them? And everywhere people are agitating. You had a Jharkhand, even if it was against the JMM government, it was still an inspiration from Jantar Mantar. You had Bihar, you had Rajasthan, you have the South Indian states, you have Kerala, everywhere it is happening. And the inspiration is Jantar Mantar, mind you, which means there is a unifying fact that the students, the kids, the Gen Z, Gen Alpha in Uttar Pradesh, kids who are 15 year, 14 year, 13 year, they are coming out. वो कह रहे साहब स्कूल मेरा ठीक नहीं है, टीचर ठीक नहीं है, कोई आता नहीं है, लाइट नहीं है, मिड डे मील नहीं है. तो उसका रिटेलिएशन क्या? If somebody goes into the kitchen, उसको ये करो. अगर किसी ने पोस्ट डाली, उसके ऊपर FIR करो. So all this nonsensical things, so they are confused. On one hand, they are trying to act tough. Yeah.
No, but you feel that this, acting tough or coming out with FIRs, not allowing people inside the school campuses, is it going to backfire for BJP or somehow they will get hold of the narrative by controlling again?
You see, they will not, they are not going to win because people are letting them win. If they win, it is going to be the wrong way. It is going to be through the compromise of the various agencies. That is the first part. You get various kind of rules. You cannot arrest the chief election commissioner. Even after he has retired and something is discovered, आप action नहीं ले सकते. क्यों नहीं ले सकते भाई? आपने देश के साथ मजाक कर दिया, आप गलत शलत करके पैसे पूसे खा के मान लो कोई इलेक्शन कमिश्नर चला जाता है, and later on we come to know of the facts that are happening, then we cannot take an action against him. We cannot go take a legal due course against him. So I mean, all these things that are being done, they are being done to ensure the BJP remains in power for long time. And they are not interested in India. इनका सबसे बड़ा fear factor राहुल गांधी कांग्रेस पार्टी है. कांग्रेस मुक्त भारत, राहुल मुक्त भारत. हर डिबेट के अंदर एक ही चीज होती है नेशनल मीडिया पे, वो राहुल गांधी. They start with Rahul Gandhi.
We don't hear Prime Minister Modi or anybody from the BJP saying Congress Mukt Bharat now. Now they cannot afford to say that. Why so?
No, firstly, see, in 100 seats approximately in the Lok Sabha is a sizable number, number one. Number two, Rahul has become a very strong voice inside the parliament, and especially with the coming of Akhilesh as an ally, who's an equally highly qualified man. He's done his masters in environmental sciences. और पढ़ा लिखा लड़का है. He was into the Sainik school. So these guys, they know what is the world. They are not like Mr. Modi and his cabinet. कि आपको यही नहीं पता. Election जो education minister है, he's a BA pass or something. He has never taught. He doesn't know examination systems. He doesn't know the competitions. अब आप आज से हमारे एजुकेशन मिनिस्टर हैं क्योंकि आप आरएसएस के हैं. आपका सिर्फ एक उत्तरदायित्व है, हिस्ट्री को रीराइट करो. That's it. तो आप बहुत अच्छे एजुकेशन मिनिस्टर हो गए. निर्मला सीतारमन इज नॉट एन इकोनॉमिस्ट, डजंट नो एबीसी ऑफ इकोनॉमिक्स. पहले उनको डिफेंस मिनिस्टर बना दिया. I support women empowerment. Give her something which she can handle. There are so many retired senior police officers who are women. There are so many retired army officers who are women. आप उनमें से किसी को बनाओ ना defense minister who knows the force and who has seen it from near. I mean, everybody in this cabinet is unfit person. पहले अरुण जेटली, मरहूम अरुण जेटली, वो वकालत करते थे, उनको फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर बनाया आपने. So there is no think tank in this particular government. They do not know what they're doing. So they are basically mismanaging things. Now they are scared. Now they feel हमको पकड़ा जा रहा है. हमको ये एजुकेटेड लोग पकड़ रहे हैं. अभी तक तो चलो मुसलमानों का एक डर दिखा के, ईसाइयों का डर दिखा करके, look, the Hindus are in danger. This country is, I mean, see, it's like उनका एक single point.
Is it a situation where a policeman catches hold of a robber, or so is it a similar situation with the BJP? BJP is exposed and exposed very badly. They are trapped now by the Gen Z, and which is why there's no getting out. So, is it a similar situation like BJP is caught with their hands in the cookie jar? Is it a situation like that?
Absolutely. And I'll tell you the most hilarious part. The most hilarious part is Ayodhya. They lost from Ayodhya, number one. They mismanaged the temple trust. Number two, they have no justifications. All the office bearers were handpicked by the Prime Minister, either VHP or RSS. In fact, when I went to Nagpur last time, there were many Dalit groups I met. They said RSS was also contemplating that why remain over here with such a strong Ambedkarite movement? Why don't we just move to Ayodhya and function from there as a headquarter? That was also a thought process going on in the RSS. And they have mismanaged it very badly. So now they are totally exposed. Even those people.
So you are saying that RSS and BJP both have badly mismanaged?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. They have mismanaged it. Inka pura system jo hai, it has mismanaged. They have lost face. They do not know.
What you're saying, so from what you're saying, because RSS is a parental organization to BJP, a parental and a cultural organization, who will protect whom? Will RSS protect Modi, or Modi is going to protect RSS? Because there were lots of stories that RSS is now looking for a replacement of Prime Minister Modi, and it's not going to be the same with our RSS after this Ram Temple theft issue has come to the forefront. What is your sense you are getting? Is it going to be like a case where you scratch my back and I'll scratch yours with RSS and Modi?
You see, the RSS is much more powerful than Modi. They are the parent ideology, which has to be followed and implemented by the BJP. Guru Golwalkar, when he was asked and when he made the Jansangh, unse pucha gaya. He said, what if this Jansangh, deviates from what we want India to be, our political front? He said, Ghar ki mooli hai. He laughingly said that. We'll just take the radish, cut it into pieces and eat it off. Yeah. So that is how it used to be, and that is how it is. If the RSS का cadre free में बिना पैसे के ideology के लिए उतरता है, इनकी मदद करता है. If the RSS backs out, they will not win the elections. Number one. Number two, RSS is a very selfish organization. They do not like faces. They will take not even 1 microsecond to ditch Mr. Modi, the way they ditched Mr. Godse. Today, the descendant of Vinayak Damodar Savarkar, he was there in the court a few days back, and he said that Godse was a part of the RSS. He said that, and बहुत सारे खुलासे हुए. वो लोग जिन्होंने राहुल गांधी पे केस कर दिया था, that why you are saying this and that and all that stuff. So all that is working out. So I mean, now RSS is not bothered about the BJP or Modi. They want to survive first. They feel we have already enjoyed for about 12, 13, 15 years. In case this government goes, it's all right. We are where we were. We'll continue. We'll make another government with another party. And they will not think twice before disowning someone. It's an unregistered organization deliberately, so that if somebody does something which is bad for the organization, you simply disown. Unlike the Communist Party and the Congress, where you had a Kanhaiya Kumar who was innocent. And when that innocent boy came to the CPI headquarters and said, मैंने कुछ नहीं किया, मैं बस नीचे गया था, वहां नारे लग रहे थे. The party said, we might get a bad name, but we are not going to ditch our comrade when he is innocent. They stood by him. Rahul Gandhi stood by him. Rahul Gandhi came to JNU, met Kanhaiya Kumar. And a long friendship between the two started. Right. So you don't ditch your comrades, That's right. Where the RSS stands.
Right. So my final question to you is, Vivek, that where do we see, and very briefly, where do we see Rahul Gandhi and where do we see Prime Minister Modi especially when you look at the trajectory in the last 2 months since the time the 20th July police crackdown has happened?
I see Rahul as the future. I see Nehru in Rahul. His views, his opinions, his style of working, his vision of India, a socialist strong India, strong international understanding of events. In Modi, I see a person who is just a creation of the PR agencies and the advertising agencies, just a creation of the capitalist forces of this nation who did not want Rahul Gandhi to come up because it was bad for their health. That is how it is. And Mr. Modi has lost the plot. He's not a popular man. He's not a respected man. The youngsters don't listen to him.
So Rahul is not good for Modi's health.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He is not good for the BJP's health also. इन्होंने बहुत कुछ किया उस एक आदमी के खिलाफ पूरा सरकारी तंत्र लगा रहा. ED, CBI. His sister was targeted. Her husband was targeted. His sister's kids were targeted. His mother was abused around. And his own fellow partyman stabbed him in the back and moved out. Mr. Ghulam Nabi Azad. One former president goes to Pranab Mukherjee. वो चले गए RSS के हेडक्वार्टर में मत्था टेकने के लिए. पूरी जिंदगी कांग्रेस की मलाई खाने के बाद. And just when there were a little bad days of the Congress with 50 odd seats, every goddamn congressman started trying to act smart. अब सारे वापस आ रहे हैं. अब सारे वापस आ रहे हैं. अब सबको होप दिख रही है. And that is where I respect Rahul. He did not deviate.
Right.
He was going through a tough phase. He stuck to his guns. He did not enjoy. He did not leave his ideology. He never compromised. He never endorsed Hindutva. He never endorsed his upper caste Hindu dominance. He remained secular. He remained socialist. And that is the strength of Rahul Gandhi. And he is the future of the nation. I'm very clear about it. He is the future. If India has a future, it has to be through Rahul Gandhi.
Right. All right. Thank you so much, Vivek, for joining on HW News. Thank you.
Thank you.